What's up, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to part 4 of my makeup collection series. This video is going to contain all of my primers, foundations, concealers, powders, and setting sprays. So it is a lot, it will be a lot, but we're also not going to be doing any swatching in this video. I'm still going to give you some very quick little speed reviews, but since there won't be any swatching, this won't be quite as lengthy, I'm hoping, but we'll see. So I will leave timestamps down below, so if there's just a certain category that you're interested, you can go ahead and like navigate forward to what you want to see. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with primers. Okay, so these are all of my primers and this little bin is overflowing. I do keep sunscreens in here and like luminizers as well, because I consider those like a primer type product because I put them on before I put on my foundation. So let's go ahead and I'm going to scooch this over and we're going to start with like sunscreens. We'll go into luminizers and then we will go into primers. I'm going to try and kind of categorize this the best that I can, but we will see what we can do. Okay, so these are the sunscreens that I have in my collection. I don't have a whole lot. I'm kind of a creature of habit when it comes to certain things. Once I find something that I really love, I kind of stick to it. But let's start with this one right here, because this is my absolute favorite sunscreen. I wear this every single day. I wear it under all of my makeup. I wear it even if I'm not wearing makeup. This one is almost empty. It's like right at the end. I do have a backup for it, but this is fantastic. It is a mineral sunscreen. It does have the SPF 30 in it, and I really enjoy this one. It's not sticky. It's not heavy. It doesn't mess with the consistency of any other makeup products that I use with it, and I really enjoy this one. It is a favorite of mine. Then we have this one. This is from La Roche-Posay. This is the Mela B3 UV Daily Sunscreen, dark spot correcting, protecting, unifying, it's a lot. But this is a chemical sunscreen, so I can't really use it too much on my face, but I think in the summer I will use this more on like my décolleté area and probably like my arms and my hands and stuff, just to keep them protected. This one, it has like a little bit of kind of that greasy feel when it comes to a sunscreen, but it's not bad, and it's also not very sunscreen smelling, so I don't mind it too much. It's not a favorite. I probably wouldn't repurchase it, but since I have it, I will definitely use it because I'm a huge sunscreen person and I always protect myself. So since it's not bad and I can tolerate it, I will use it, but like I said, I wouldn't repurchase it. And then I have this little one right here that I got as a sample when I placed an order on the e.l.f. website. This is the Whoa Glow Broad Spectrum SPF 30 sunscreen. This is, I don't like it. It is very sunscreeny. It feels like sunscreen. It smells like sunscreen. I am not a big fan of the shade either. This is the shade Sunbeam, and it's just not the best for me. I'm glad that I got a sample because I had contemplated buying it for a really long time, and I'm glad that I did not spend my money on it because I personally do not like this at all. It is a pass for me. Okay, so let's talk luminizers. I have 5 of them sitting right here, and I do enjoy all of these. Some of these I like more than others, but these are really nice. Like, I wouldn't get rid of them. Some of them I just wouldn't repurchase. But let's start with the MAC Strobe Cream. This is like a classic. This is an oldie but a goodie. I love this. This is probably my second or third tube. I like to use this usually under a foundation, especially like a more mattifying foundation. I feel like it just adds a nice luminosity to my skin. The color is actually really pretty. I know I said we weren't going to swatch much, but I feel like these we can swatch because you need to see like the shade, because this is, it's beautiful. It just adds like a soft glow to the skin and it looks beautiful under foundations. I don't use this one to mix in particularly because it has like a little bit of a pink glow to it, and that would just alter my foundation too much, but I do genuinely love this product. It is a beautiful one from MAC. And then we have the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter whatever it is. Mine is rubbing off, which I notice has been a trend with a lot of people's. This is okay. I have the shade Too Fair, and it's not my favorite. It's really not. The shade isn't perfect. It's a little on the thicker side, and it's got a little bit of like a yellowy undertone, so it's not perfect for me. This works better under like lighter foundations or like full coverage foundations where I don't have a chance of it altering. I do use it. It's not a favorite of mine. It's one that I will use probably until it's no longer good, and I wouldn't repurchase it personally. I just think it's really overhyped for what it is, and for the price point, it's not a favorite. And I kind of feel the same about the e.l.f. I do enjoy the e.l.f. more than I enjoy the Charlotte Tilbury. This is a little bit of a thinner consistency. I do have the shade 0.5 Fair. I also am not a fan of the doe foot applicators on these because I feel like it's a hygiene thing for me. But I do enjoy this more than the Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like the shade range is a little bit better. It's not quite as thick as the Charlotte Tilbury. Like, it's still thick, don't get me wrong. It's just not as thick. So if you were really wanting to try the Charlotte Tilbury, go with the e.l.f. It's not a 100% dupe, but you're gonna get the same effect. You're going to get the same kind of vibe as you would with the Charlotte Tilbury at like a fraction of the cost. So that's just kind of my little piece on it. These are not my favorites, but they're okay. Up next is the L'Oreal Gloomy Lotion. I have number 901 Fair Glow. This is beautiful. This is really, really nice. I think this would probably be one of my favorites as well. It kind of has a very similar glow to it as the MAC Strobe Cream. It's definitely more along those lines than it is along these lines. I do really enjoy this. I think it's a great buy from the drugstore. It does come in different shades, and I think I saw that they're coming out with a deeper shade. I could be wrong about that. I could just be seeing things. But I do really enjoy this for the price. I think it's fantastic. For a while there, it was really hard to get your hands on it because it went viral, and it went viral for a good reason. Like, I really enjoy this. I kind of flip between these three right here is kind of what I flip between. I try and rotate my makeup the best I can so I can get use out of everything. So if you see me use one thing for a really long time and then all of a sudden I switch to something else, that's what I'm doing. I'm rotating through my collection. But this is a really nice one. It's from the drugstore. I do really enjoy it. It is a beautiful product. And then we have my absolute favorite. This is the Auric Glow Lust, and I have the shade, what is it? Morganite. That's the name of it. This is beautiful. If you want to have like the most beautiful glowy base, or you can use this as a mix-in, you can use it on top of foundation as a liquid highlighter. This is beautiful. I love, love, love this product. First of all, it comes in a pump. It is glass. It is super weighty. And this is like the most beautiful consistency. It is just, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it's got a little bit of coverage to it. You can wear it on its own as just like a beautiful glowy base, but it melts into the skin so seamlessly. The color isn't too orange, too yellow, too pink. It's just a perfect neutral tone. This does come in other shades, but it's a favorite. I love it. It doesn't mess with the consistency of my foundation. It doesn't lift product when I put it on top. This one is a favorite. It's my, probably hands down, my #1 favorite out of all of these glow booster things. Okay, so these are the rest of my primers that I have. I tried to kind of put them together by brand and kind of by what they do, but let me just preface this by saying I used to have really oily skin, like really, really oily skin. It was just kind of out of control, especially in my T-zone. So it was more on the combination side. But over the past like year or so, my skin has slowly been shifting to drier and drier and drier. So I'm anxious to see what it does this summer when it gets really hot outside, if I do get oily at all, or if my skin is just going to stay more on the dry side. So I'm keeping these around for that reason, because a lot of these I don't use right now because they are more oil control, and if I don't get oily this summer, I will probably get rid of a lot of those. But let's go ahead and start over here with e.l.f. So the first one that we have is the e.l.f. Liquid Poreless Putty Primer. This is a nice primer. I do really enjoy it. I don't have a lot of pores, but I like this more in it kind of smooths out my complexion, kind of fills in my lines a little bit, and just gives me a nice smooth base. I do really enjoy it. It feels like silk on the skin. I don't have any issues using it. This is one of my favorites. I do really enjoy this. e.l.f. makes really good primers. I will give them that for sure. They really, really do. The 3 that I have, I enjoy all of them. I never tried the one in the little pot, but I used to have the Tatcha silk canvas and I loved that. So when I ran out, I got this because this was new, and I haven't used it a whole lot because, like I said, my skin just doesn't have a need for it anymore, but I do really enjoy this one. Then we have the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer. I really enjoy this. This one is almost an exact dupe for the Milk. I think I like this one a little bit better. It has just a little bit more like hydration and tack to it than the Milk does, and I really like it. I haven't used it a whole lot because I'm trying to finish off my Milk Hydro Grip. I'm almost done with it and I am determined to finish it, so I don't want to jump into this and forget about this, but I do really enjoy this. I would definitely purchase this over this time and time again. Another newer one in my collection is the e.l.f. Jelly Pop Primer, and this is another favorite. I really enjoy this one. I actually think I might like this one better than this one. This one just has a little bit more hydration to it, and right now my skin is craving that extra hydration. So I'm hoping that this sticks around as a permanent product. I know that it was limited edition when it was first released, and they recently brought it back, which was when I picked it up, and so far it's hung around. It's still in stock, but I don't know like what the true fate of this is, but I really love this one. I think this is probably one of my favorite primers in my collection at the moment. And then we have my wonderful Milk Hydro Grip right here. You can see I'm almost done. Like, there's not a whole lot left of this, but I love this. I have been using this for years. This is probably the second or third one that I've been through. I think I've even been through a couple of minis. I just love it. It's always been a go-to for me. So I'm really excited that e.l.f. has come out with one that is exactly like it. I know I'm late to the game on that, but I didn't want to try it when I still had a full bottle of this, but I love it. I love that it's grippy. I love that it's hydrating, and it just makes my makeup last all day. Okay, the Glow Recipe Strawberry BHA Pore Smooth Blur Drops. I enjoyed this last summer. I enjoyed it a lot. It really helped keep my oil at bay. Now, I never got ridiculously oily. It was more just on my forehead and around my nose, and that was where I would really concentrate this. A little bit goes a long way, and I felt like it really helped. I can't speak to the pore part. I think it's supposed to help like over time with constant use. It's not like an immediately, oh, it's gonna fill in your pores and shrink them and make them go away. But with constant use, it's supposed to do that. I do really enjoy this. I'm hoping that I can still use it this summer, but we're gonna see. We're gonna see what my skin does, but if you do have combination or oily skin, this is a fantastic product. I love it. And the same goes for the Sephora Mattify and Refine Primer. This is a good one as well. I really enjoyed this one. This one really helped to control my oil as well. It's a nice one. It's actually, I want to say, very similar to this one. Like, it kind of performs the same. This obviously doesn't have the skincare in it that's going to do the same as the Glow Recipe, but as far as like an affordable primer that's going to help mattify the skin and keep it at bay, it definitely does that. I can't speak on super oily skin, but if you have like just combination skin and a little bit of oiliness in your T-zone, this one is fantastic and it's affordable. And with the Sephora sale coming up, it's about to be 30% off. And I think I would like to try some more of the Sephora primers. Okay, let's move on to One Size because this is the newest primer release from One Size. This is the Secure the Glow Tacky Hydrating Primer, and I love this. I mean, you can tell I have used quite a bit of it. I just love it. I love that it's got a little bit of tack to it. It's extremely hydrating and very glowy. It's not over the top glowy where it's like intimidating and gonna do anything like a luminizer would do. But this one has become a very quick favorite. I really, really enjoy this. It doesn't have the same tack to it as the Hydro Grip or the e.l.f., what is it, the Power Grip primer, but it does have enough tack that it just helps your skin, helps your makeup to last all day and just gives your skin a beautiful like glow and plump to the skin. This is a fantastic release. Another one that I really enjoy is the One Size Secure the Sweat Dry Till Dawn Primer. This is fantastic. This is not just for oily skin. This is good for all skin types, but this is good, I think, for in the summers here in Texas because it gets very hot, it gets very humid, and this will hold your makeup in place all day. This mixed with the setting spray that One Size has, your makeup's going nowhere. I used this whenever I went to the Taylor Swift concert. I used this and then I used that setting spray, and let me tell you, I was singing and dancing and making a fool out of myself for 3.5 hours. I stood out in the heat, in the sweltering heat with the humidity, and my makeup did not budge. Like, this is a staple in my collection. I hate the packaging with a passion because it's like, it's kind of gross. I don't like the whole tube thingy. Like, if you're a hairdresser or you've ever seen hair, it reminds me of a tube of color, and I hate that because this just, it squeezes, and whenever you first start using it, every time you open it, a big glob comes flying out, kind of like it's starting to do right now. So the packaging is not my favorite, but the product inside is fantastic. Okay, up next we have the Huda Beauty Water Jelly Primer. This is another one that I really love. I used this one a whole lot in like November and December. It was deep in my rotation. This, it doesn't have a lot of tack to it. It doesn't really do much of anything except give the skin a big shot of hydration. And I love that, especially on days where I wake up and my skin is just feeling really parched, really dry in certain places. I will put this on and then put on the rest of my makeup, and it just stays nice and hydrated. It keeps me from getting dry spots. I really do enjoy this. It is a favorite. I feel like this is really underhyped. Like, people don't talk about this, and I think it's because everybody wants a primer that's going to grip, or it's going to blur, or it's going to like mattify the oils. But this is fantastic if you have dry skin or even like combination dry skin. Put this where you have your drier spots, and it feels good. It's hydrating. It feels like splashing water on your face, and I really, really enjoy this. I hope this isn't one of the products that she gets rid of during her rebrand. The Essence Hello Good Stuff Glow Serum Primer. This is another one that I really love. Again, it's just hydrating. It gives a nice glow to the skin. It makes the skin look and feel plumping. It does have like a slight tack to it. It's not as tacky as like the Milk or the e.l.f. or even the One Size, but it does really help keep the makeup in place. And again, this is one that I really enjoy when my skin's a little bit on the drier side, or even just kind of like in a nice normal even keel, and it smells like watermelon, plus it's affordable, so you really can't beat all of that. Okay, I have these two from NYX, and this one I enjoy. Let's talk about this one first. The NYX Plump Right Back. This is actually a new one for me. I think I got this for free with like my diamond rewards or whatever from Ulta. It was the only thing that appealed for me in the selection that they had. I like this. This is another one of those like plumping primers. It's going to hydrate your skin. It's going to make it look and feel just dewy and healthy and beautiful, and I do really enjoy it. It doesn't have much of a tack to it, but I do notice that it helps to hold my makeup in place whenever I do use it, and it just feels really good on the skin. I enjoy this one. This one I have mixed feelings on, because while this one does kind of like everything, it kind of smooths, it hydrates, it controls oil, like literally it does everything. It doesn't even say on here anywhere what it does, but it does everything. My issue with this is it doesn't smell very good, and it's not because it's old. It has smelled the same since I got it, and it doesn't smell like marshmallows. Like the setting spray, the marshmallow setting spray smells like sugary, sweet, candied marshmallows. This, I don't know what it smells like, but it bugs me. It's a smell that I can't get past. I love the product, but I don't know. There's something about the smell, and I want so bad to love it. And every time I use it, I smell it. I can smell it on my hands. I can smell it after I put my makeup on. It's not a favorite, but it's also not one that I hate. It's just, I have a love-hate relationship with it, and I don't know. We're still working things out and figuring it out, but yeah, not a favorite. I wouldn't repurchase it, but I've tried several times to completely use it up, and I just haven't had much luck. Okay, so we're down to the nitty gritty. Let's go ahead and start here with the Gucci Mattifying Primer. This one I really enjoy. This one it's not like a super mattifying primer. It's like a lightly mattifying primer. I use this one a lot in like the transition from summer to winter when it was still kind of warm outside and I would still get a little bit oily, but not enough where I needed like the One Size or even the Sephora, the Glow Recipe, any of those. This is fragranced. Keep that in mind. It's Gucci. It's heavily fragranced. I don't know how this would work if you have super oily skin, but if you have just a little bit of oil production, this is a nice one. I do enjoy it. I know it's more on the pricier side, but yeah, I enjoy it. I like it, and I can't help it. The YSL Touche Eclat Blur Primer. This is the second one I have ever had. I love this primer. This is a very silicone-based primer, but it just makes the skin look absolutely beautiful. But you do have to kind of be careful which foundations you pair this with, because if you pair it with a more water-based foundation, they're not going to mix well and you'll hate the primer. So just be aware of that whenever you pair it, to be careful what you pair it with. But this is beautiful. I absolutely love this. This blurs my skin. It makes it look so beautiful. I feel like it really helps with my lines on my forehead, and it has a very soft fragrance to it, nothing crazy, and the sparkles in it, they don't really translate to the skin. They just give a nice glow, but this is one I really enjoyed. Like I said, it is a repurchase for me, and I don't know, I just love it. There's something about it that I have not found in another product that really makes me love this one. Speaking of filling in, I have the Il Makiage, what's this called? Power Redo Anti-Aging Blur and Smooth Wrinkle Filler. This is nice. It's not as filling as they make it look in the advertisement. If you've ever seen the little video that Il Makiage has had where she puts it on the calf of her forehead and her wrinkles vanish, which that's what sucked me in. I'm going to be honest, that's why I ordered it, because I was like, ooh, it got rid of them. It doesn't do that. It's not going to completely get rid of them, but it definitely minimizes the look of them. So I do enjoy this one. It is nice. I really can't complain. I've only used it a few times. It is newer in my collection, and I haven't shown it on my channel just because, I don't know, I got it like before I started doing YouTube before I started making videos and really jumping into this, and I haven't messed with it a whole lot. I need to play with it some more and bust it out and really get a good feel on this. But the few times that I have used it, I've really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's fully worth the price point, but it's not a bad product. I will give it that. I need to get to know it a little bit better. The Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. This is a favorite of mine. If you couldn't tell, I absolutely love this one in the winter. I have jumped back into it recently because I have been feeling very dry, very dehydrated on my face. Like, I wake up and my face just can't get enough moisture to it, and I love this. This one is so good. It's a lot like skincare, but it gives your skin such a hydrated feel, and it smells amazing, but it gives your foundation the most beautiful canvas to glide on top of. Again, this does not work for every single foundation. I have noticed for me personally, the more like tint type foundations, like the Chanel Le Beige, the Chantecaille, the CoverGirl, they don't work the best with this. But other than that, I don't have any issues, and I do really enjoy it. I need to purchase another one because this one is almost empty. It's a little on the older side. My cap is split, so that's probably part of the issue, but I love this. This is worth the hype, and it's worth every single penny. The Hourglass Vanish Airbrush Primer. This is a little sample that I got, I think, whenever I ordered my Ambient Edit Unlocked palette at the holidays. I have had one of these before, another one of the little samples, and I did really enjoy it. It's not a bad primer. It's just, for me, it's not anything that makes me want to run out and spend the money on a full size, because this is not a cheap primer by any means, but I do want to bust it back out now that my skin has changed and see if maybe it just didn't go with my skin type at the time. But yeah, so for now, I'm kind of on the fence about it. I need to try it again, but I do remember enjoying it. I just don't remember it being anything that was worth like the price tag. Okay, the last two. Let's start with the Stila One Step Prep Corrector. This is the second one that I've ever had. The first one I used, I think, about half of it, and then it just kind of went rancid, so I repurchased it because this is the only corrector I have in my collection, and I really enjoy this one. It has just enough that it evens out my skin tone. It's not over green where it kind of makes me look sick, and it's not so lightly pigmented where it does nothing. And it also doubles as a really nice primer as well. I do really enjoy this. It's one of my favorite products from the brand. It's actually the only product I have left from the brand. There was a highlighter that they have that I love as well, but I had to get rid of that one because it went off and went rancid. But this is a beautiful one. I feel like this one is slept on. It's very underrated, underhyped, and I enjoy it. And last but not least, we have the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder. This is in the shade Universal, and can you tell I enjoy it? I do really like this one, but again, I used it more in the summer last year. And I like to use this on days where I'm not going to put on any makeup. I feel like it blurs the skin so nicely and gives just a really pretty powdery finish. I've never used this over foundation and stuff to set. It kind of makes me nervous, and I've never really had the nerve to do it. But under, I do love it. I want to see how this is going to work this summer. I want to see how my skin behaves, and if I still get a little bit oily, I'm curious about getting one of the tinted versions of this and see how that works. But then I also want to get her new one that's like extra hydrating and moisturizing, that's in this same little container. But I do enjoy this. I know a lot of people don't like it. Like, it was either you love it or you hate it, and I love this one. Alright, so these are my foundations. There's quite a few. I think I have an addiction to foundation. I love foundation. I truly, truly love foundation. It's one of my favorite things to try. foundations, and then probably after that it would, or actually be eyeshadow palettes and then foundations. But this is my foundation collection. This is going to be everything that I have already tested and moved into my collection. So I know I've tested out a couple of new foundations recently. I have not done like a final review on those, so those will not be in here, but let's jump into this because there is quite a few, and I'm just going to pull them out and discuss them one by one. Okay, let's go ahead and start here with the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac Tinted Glow Hydrator. This is an absolute favorite of mine. Like, I have used so much of this. It's almost empty. I need to repurchase it, and I also need to repurchase it in a lighter shade because this one is too dark for me. I used to use this one like religiously whenever I would self tan, and I can still get away with it as long as I mix it with this right here, but you know, that's just, it's too much work sometimes, and I don't know, I'd rather just purchase a new one. But this is an absolute favorite foundation of mine. I love it. I fell in love with it even whenever I had more oily skin, and I'm sure I will continue to love it even as my skin starts to change and dry out. This just has the most beautiful finish on the skin. It looks beautiful, it feels beautiful, and I really enjoy it. This lasts on my skin all day. It gives a good like medium coverage, but like on the more full medium side versus like the lighter medium side, and it holds up on my skin for 12 hours plus. I absolutely love this one. This is one of my top 5 favorite foundations. Up next is the Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Serum Skin Tint. This is a beautiful, beautiful product. I love this one as well. This one just, it holds up on the skin. It gives it such a beautiful, soft, blurred look. It is a little bit on the like medium side. I would say light medium coverage. Like, I can get a good coverage out of it. It's not super lightweight, but it's also not like a full on medium. I do still have a little bit of like my redness poking through. You can still see some of my imperfections, but I don't mind it. This gives a beautiful finish to the skin. It's lightweight, it blends in, it just melts with the skin and gives such a beautiful look. This is also one that kind of dries down, and you don't really need to powder unless you're oily, obviously, then you need to. But just for me, I find that this works really, really well without powdering. But this is beautiful. I have the shade 2 and I love it. This is the Yensa Super Serum Silk Foundation. I got this one in, I believe, a BoxyCharm. I think it was a BoxyCharm. I'm pretty sure that it was. And I do really enjoy this one. I like this one a lot. It's not a perfect shade match for me. You can tell I've used the crap out of it, but it looks so beautiful on the skin, and it is like a true neutral tone. Like, it's almost intimidating in here, but it feels good. It wears nicely. It's just a little bit more on the full coverage, and I don't really go for full coverage foundations anymore. I used to go for them a lot whenever I was still kind of getting my skin in check and repairing a lot of the damage that was done to it from whenever I used to have acne when I was in my early 30s. So that was whenever I really went through like a full coverage phase. And now as I've gotten older, I prefer more of a light to medium coverage foundation. But this one is really, really beautiful. I do really enjoy it. I like it. I don't know if it's one that I would ever repurchase, but while I'll have it, I will continue to use it. The Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Skin Tint with Broad Spectrum SPF 15. I have the shade Fair 1. This is a nice foundation, but I cannot use it very much. It does have a chemical sunscreen in it, so if I use it more than a couple days, my skin starts to get really irritated, but I do enjoy it. So I kind of reserve this one for days that I'm going to be like outside more and I really need the extra SPF. It only has 15, but if I put this on over like all of my skincare and my sunscreen that has SPF in it, this just gives me that little extra boost. And for one day, my skin will be fine. But this is really, really pretty. It's not a favorite skin tint of mine, again, because it does have the chemical sunscreen in it, and it doesn't have like the best wear on my skin, but it is a really pretty one. It's not a favorite. Up next, we have the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation. I have two of these. If you watched any of my videos recently, you see that I picked up the 32 hour because it's like a reformulation of the 24 hour, and this is one of my absolute favorite drugstore foundations. I have gone through a couple of these at this point, and I wanted to see if there was a difference, and there's not. For me, it held up the same, it wore the same, it looked the same. This is an absolutely beautiful foundation. It does have chemical sunscreen in it, so I can't use it every single day, but I did really enjoy wearing this one a lot whenever I used to work in the salon, especially on longer days. It held up beautifully on my skin, and it just gave me such a flawless look. For a full coverage foundation, it's not super cakey and heavy, and it melts into the skin beautifully. But I do really love this one. Again, there's not a difference, so I think what they're doing is they're just rolling in the new one as they run out of shades in this one, so that's why sometimes you can find the new one and sometimes you can't. I do have the shade 395 in the new one and 400 in the old one, and I picked up 400 because when I went to repurchase this one, they didn't have 395, so this is a better shade match for me, but I can get away with this one. It's just a teeny bit like more on the yellow side than this one is, but this is a beautiful foundation. If I was going to recommend one foundation from the drugstore, this would be it if you're looking for a full coverage foundation that's just a workhorse, like go-to foundation that's just, it's reliable is what it is. Another good drugstore foundation is the Revlon Color Stay Long Wear Makeup. I bought this one because Allie Dawson here on YouTube ranted and raved about it. It's her absolute favorite foundation, and this is a fantastic foundation. It really truly is. You can tell I have used quite a bit of it. I've really enjoyed it. This is the one for combination oily skin, and I used this so much last summer. I have the shade 110. It's a perfect shade match for me, and this is like a medium buildable coverage foundation. I'm curious to see how it's going to work with my skin this year, if it will still work, if it's going to be a little too drying for my skin. Sometimes I can take foundations that are a little more on the matte side, and if I do really good skincare prep, and if I use a really good hydrating primer, I can still get away with these. But I do really enjoy this, and if this one doesn't work, I will go purchase the one that is for normal to dry skin, but this is another beautiful one from the drugstore as well. So really, you can't go wrong with either one of these. I recommend both. I think this one's a little bit more on the affordable side, so I recommend both. I love both. They're both fantastic, but this one is definitely aimed more towards like oily skin. Another one from the drugstore. This is a newer foundation, and I love this. This is the CoverGirl Simply Aegis Skin Perfector Essence. I have the shade 20 Light. This is stunning. This is absolutely beautiful. This one is, it's not a dupe for this one, but it is so similar that if you are wanting to try the Chanel Le Beige, get the CoverGirl. Save the money, get the CoverGirl, try it out, see if you like it. And if you really want the Chanel, then get the Chanel. But this one, you can't go wrong with it. It's beautiful. It has a light coverage, but it's more on like the heavy end of light coverage. And it just, I don't know, it melts into the skin and blends and meshes so well. Like when you first put it on, you're kind of like, ooh, this is streaky, I don't know about it. But as it sits, it looks beautiful. The longer it sits, the better it looks. So after, for me at least, after like an hour is when it really starts to look beautiful. But I do prefer to apply this as well as this one. We'll get to this one next. But I do prefer to apply it with a brush because it just goes on better. It helps to pop those little color capsules in there and kind of move everything around. But this one is a beautiful one. It is like $22, which is pretty pricey for a drugstore foundation, but when you compare it to a $70 foundation, like, you can't beat that. It's, yeah, it's like a fourth of the price but this one's fantastic. I have really, really been enjoying this one. But since we're here, let's talk about the Chanel Le Beige Water Fresh Tint Foundation. This one is another one of those, it's just a favorite for me. I love this one on a day where I want to look put together, but I just don't want to do a lot of like the fuss with an actual foundation. This just gives me like a my skin but better look. And it's beautiful. I feel the same way about this one as I do about the CoverGirl. I really enjoy both. This one is a little bit more hydrating on the skin. So I will say that if you have really dry skin, you might enjoy this one a little bit better than the CoverGirl. But if you're more on like the normal combination or even like oily side of things, the CoverGirl is great. So this one is a good one. I do love it. I don't know if I would repurchase it just because of the CoverGirl, but yeah, I do really, really love this one. I have zero regrets. It is a favorite of mine. I just don't think that I would repurchase it when I run out. Let's talk about Miss Fenty Beauty. So I have both formulations of the, the Ease Drop Blurring Skin Tint, and they are both in shade 1. This is just a smidgen too light for me. Like I'm kind of in between shades. Like really I need like a 1.5, but I just never did it. I don't really love it enough for that. So this is nice. This is not a favorite. Let's start with the liquid first because I like the liquid better than the stick. And I know this is like against popular opinion because so many people love this. I do really enjoy this. I really, really do. It's just not a favorite. There's something about it that just doesn't, I don't know. It's not anything that I like want to reach for. Like when I use it, I enjoy it. I don't have any issues with it, but whenever I'm trying to decide what foundation I want to use, it doesn't stick out to me. It doesn't have anything that just goes, ooh, you know which one just really knocks my socks off and I want to use is the Fenty. But it is a beautiful one. I think this works well for all skin types. I don't know about like super dry skin, but it works well. It looks nice. It holds up nice. It does have a good like medium coverage to it. Like you can build it up to a medium coverage, but you can also sheer it out as well. So it's a nice one. It's just not a favorite. And then let's talk about the stick version because I have used this several times. So many people have talked about how much they love it, and for me, it's just not an absolute favorite. Like it is really nice. Don't get me wrong, out of all the stick foundations I have used, which is not a lot, I've used like the Hourglass, I've used the Huda Beauty one, and I know a couple others at some point. This one is nice, but it's just not a favorite. Again, there's something about it that just, I don't know. I don't like the way that this sits on my skin. I don't like the way that it blends out. I don't love it as much as I love this one, and I don't even love this one a whole lot. So I'll use it. This will be great whenever we do travel because I don't have to worry about it leaking. I don't have to worry about it breaking. But yeah, it's just not a favorite. Again, it's not anything that I would repurchase. So far, I am not the biggest fan of the Fenty Beauty Complexion products. While there's so many other things in the line that I do enjoy, these two foundations, they're just not it for me. Okay, let's talk about the About Face. This is a new release this year. This is the Performer Foundation. I have the shade F2 Cool, and I have used this. I did review it on my channel. This is not a favorite. It's not bad. It's really not. It does look okay on my skin. It doesn't hold up for a full 12 hours. This is really hard to get out. Like it makes a mess. Like the doe foot is way too big for the little bitty opening. I hate that it's a doe foot. The shade is not perfect for me. I don't know why I'm swatching. I said I wasn't going to because there's no point. It's okay. It's just not for me. I feel like this is for younger skin. It's not for more mature skin. And while I know I don't have like super mature skin, but I am almost 40 years old and my skin is not the skin of a 21-year-old. So for me, this is okay. I like it in like short spurts, like if I'm going to film or if I'm just running a few like quick errands or I just have somewhere to go that I just need to have my makeup on for a few hours, this one does work and it holds up. But for the long haul, it's just not a favorite. It's not anything that I would repurchase. It's not anything that I would really recommend for anybody over probably 35. But yeah, so it's okay. It's not bad. It's just not a favorite. Let's talk about a new release that I do really, really love. This is the Makeup Revolution Skin Silk Luminous Serum Foundation. I have the shade F0.5. I do have a dedicated video on my channel using this. This is beautiful. This just leaves the most beautiful, like, perfected, blurred, flawless finish on your skin. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's lightweight. It's got good coverage to it. It's like a solid medium coverage. It wears really, really nicely. It doesn't quite wear for a full 12 hours, but not every day I need 12 hours, especially since I'm not working like inside a salon anymore. I've noticed I'm not wearing my makeup nearly as long, but I do really enjoy this one. This one is really good. This one has gone like insane because it is a very, very similar formula to the Laura Mercier. What's this one called? The Real Flawless Weightless Perfecting Foundation. And the two of these side by side on the face look almost identical. They really, really do. And this one is like half the price of this one. I think this one's almost $50 and this one's like 20, somewhere around there. Maybe it's a little more than 20. But if you're interested in the Laura Mercier, go for the Makeup Revolution. I think it has a better like shade range than the Laura Mercier. And again, it looks the same on the skin. Now, is it a full-on dupe? Probably not. I feel like dupes are kind of, I don't know, I use that term very loosely because I feel like in order for something to be a dupe, it has to be like 100% the exact same. And they're not the exact same, but they do look the same. They're going to give the same vibe. They're going to give the same look. And once your makeup is completed, you cannot tell a difference. So I do absolutely love both of these. For some reason, this one's all of a sudden going viral all over everything, even though this came out like a year ago. And I did buy it when it first came out, and I absolutely love this one. So both of these are good ones. I love it when we can find a more affordable version of a high-end brand. It makes my heart happy. The KVD Good Apple Serum Foundation. Is that what this is called? Yes, the Full Coverage Serum Foundation. I have the shade Light 012. This is another one of those where I'm like in between. When I first got this, I got Light 08, and it was like way too light on me, like really, really, really too light on me. So I went ahead and returned it and got the one that's up, and this one's almost too dark for me. Now, this one, it's nice. It is extremely full coverage. Like this is full coverage. Like this is going to erase your past. That's what this is going to do. It is a beautiful foundation. I do like it. I just don't use it much because, like I've said, I am not a full coverage girly anymore, but I can use this one if I mix it with either my white mixing medium from LA Girl, which this is fantastic. If you have a hard time getting like your perfect shade and you tend to pick up something that's too dark, you need this. This does not disrupt the consistency of the foundation. It just lightens it. They also have this in like blue and other shades to change the undertone, but I have it in white. I do get quite a bit of use out of it. But this is nice. It's not a favorite. It was extremely overhyped in my opinion. The bottle is pretty. It does look beautiful on the skin, but it's a full coverage foundation. So it's one of those that if I'm going to wear it, I'm going to bust it out if I'm going somewhere where I need full coverage, where I know that there's going to be like pictures taken. I need my makeup to last. I need it to look good. But I will also say it can cake up very quickly. So if you put on too much and try and build it up, it will get cakey and it will fall apart. So kind of trust the process. Less is more with this one. And the shade range is a little wonky, but yeah, it's good if you can find your shade and if you want a full coverage queen moment. The REM Sweetener Foundation. I adore this foundation. This one is beautiful. My biggest issue with this one is too light. I should have taken it back and I didn't. I have the shade Fair 3 in and it's too light. I used to mix it with this a lot and it did help the shade. Like it deepened this one up just enough and it lightened this one just enough that the two of them together gave me my perfect shade. But this is so heavy and so much thicker that it really kind of changes the consistency of this. But I have recently discovered that if I mix this with the Tarte Key Largo bronzing drops, it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It gives this just a little bit more of a glow, a little bit more of a sheen. It deepens it up just ever so slightly that it's a perfect shade for my skin, because this is a little bit more on the matte side. It's not a full-on matte. It's more of like a soft matte foundation. So that's the way that I like to wear it. I do really enjoy it. It is a beautiful foundation, and yeah, it's one that I would repurchase in the future, but I would repurchase it in a different shade. The Clinique Beyond Perfecting Foundation and Concealer. This is one that I got last year in my Ulta Diamond Rewards, and this is okay. It's not bad. It is full coverage. It has a doe foot. The doe foot's easier to get out of this one than it is the About Face, but yeah, it's a nice foundation. It's not a favorite. It's not anything that I would purchase on my own. I have the shade WN01, and I don't know why I bought this, because WN is a warm neutral, and in no way have I or will I ever be a warm neutral, but I was able to use this whenever I was self-tanning, and as I've stated before, I don't self-tan anymore, so I do want to give this one a shot this summer, probably with my white mix-in, and see how it performs. But it's not one that I'm crazy about. It's not one that I would purchase. It's not one that I tend to gravitate towards, but it's an okay foundation. It will probably go away at some point with a couple of these other ones. Oh, the e.l.f. Camo Hydrating CC Cream. This is one that you can bet your butt that it will go away at the end of the year. This was awful. I hate this foundation, and it takes a lot for me to hate a foundation, but this was one that I tried and tried and tried to do a wear test with, and I just couldn't get it to work. Like after an hour and a half, it immediately broke up on my skin. It started to look cakey. It just kind of fell apart and made a mess, and it didn't matter what I used it with. It didn't matter if I went in with a water-based primer, a silicone-based primer, no primer. I tried it with everything. I tried everything I could possibly think of, and this is awful. I don't like it. I hate it. I don't recommend it. Yeah, it is shade Fair 125, shade Fair 125C, which isn't a bad shade match for me. It's just a bad formula. The Kosas BB Burst Tinted Gel Cream. This is a new release this year, and I love this. This is absolutely beautiful on the skin. I hate the smell of it. It has like this weird like ingredient smell to it, which kind of like throws me off because it's supposed to be clean beauty, but it just has a weird smell to it. So that's one thing I can't stand when I'm applying it, but it does go away. It does dissipate. The smell does not hang around, but this is beautiful on the skin. It is so hydrating, so cooling. It just has a beautiful finish to it. I like the way that it makes my skin look. I have the shade 11, Very Light Cool. I love this. I really, really do. Like I said, I've enjoyed more lighter coverage. This one is beautiful. I do have a dedicated video on my channel using this, and this one held up absolutely beautifully for 12 hours. The Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. This is a favorite. I love this foundation. This foundation is so, so beautiful. I have used it a lot. I have the shade 040 Fair Neutral, and I could probably use something that's a little bit on the cooler side, but it is what it is. This is stunning. I know this is another one of those that you either love it or you hate it. I've heard mixed reviews from so many people, but I love this one. I wore this one practically nonstop last summer. No, the summer before when I first got it. It is still good. It's used, it's loved, but this has a beautiful medium coverage, and the way that it sits on the skin is just flawless and beautiful. It really does look like second skin on your skin. It's a beautiful foundation. I love it. I do think it's a little on the pricier side, but I am fully willing to pay for a foundation if it's a fantastic formula, and this is a fantastic formula. I highly recommend this one. Let's chat about the Polite Society More Than a Pretty Face Skin Caring Foundation. This is another one that I have a dedicated video up on my channel with, and this is okay. It's an okay foundation. I bought it because it was super hyped on TikTok and Instagram, and everybody was talking about it was game changing and how beautiful it was. It's okay. Like, it's fine. It lasts, but it doesn't hold up as well as other foundations that I have. It's not a favorite. It can be a little heavy. This is another one like the KVD that if you put too much on, it can kind of get away from you and just feel like too much on the skin. I enjoy it. I will use it. I just don't think that it's one that I would repurchase, but I will say that this is a really good shade match for me, and this is shade Very Fair C. So it's good, it's just not great, and it's definitely not worth like the $42 price tag. So, but it's cute. I'll give it that. The packaging is adorable. Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is an OG foundation. This is one of those foundations that's like a staple in my collection, because this is one of those that like is old reliable. I know I can count on this. I know it's gonna look good. If I'm having a weird skin day, I know I can go to Estee Lauder Double Wear and just my skin will look perfect. My only gripe with this is that one, it does not come with a pump. So you have like a $50-something foundation, and then you have to buy like the $8 pump. So now you have a $60 foundation. You can reuse the pump, but still, that sucks. My other gripe is the lightest shade is a neutral undertone, and I am not neutral undertone. I am cool undertone. So the shade range is not exactly the best, but it works on my skin. I can make it work as long as I blend it out really, really good down my neck. And it does have a soft fragrance to it, but this is just, it's an oldie but a goodie. Like, it's been around forever. It's gone viral several times. It kind of pops in and out of the beauty community, and I mean, it does that for a reason. It's a good foundation. My Dior Forever. Oh, this foundation, y'all. Can you tell that this is a favorite? It's not anymore. I can't use it. I've tried reusing it recently and it's too matte for me. This is the old formula, so it probably needs to go anyway, but we're gonna hold on to it just because. But this was my favorite foundation for the longest time. This held up so beautifully on my skin. I love the way that it looks, love the way that it felt. This is the second bottle I've ever had of it, and I absolutely love it. But now I want to try the Forever Glow. Now that my skin has changed, I really want to try that one. It's on my list of foundations to try, but if you have oily skin or even combination skin, this is a beautiful foundation. I don't know about the new formulation. I'm speaking from the old formulation, but from everything that I've heard, the reformulation of the foundations for Dior is fantastic. Like, they are chef's kiss. But this is a beautiful foundation. I do really love it. I'm sad that it doesn't work for my skin anymore, but it really makes me want to try the Glow. And I have the shade 0 In, which is a neutral shade, but oddly enough, it works for my complexion. Okay, the rest of these are all going to be favorites in my collection. I do love every single one of these, but let's start with the Bobbi Brown Skin Long Wear Weightless Foundation. This is full coverage, oil-free shine control. Now, I know, oil-free shine control, but this works on my skin. I have used this very recently and it holds up nicely. It looks beautiful. This says it's full coverage, but you can get away with like a more medium coverage with it. But this is another one of those that it just lasts all day. It looks beautiful on the skin. It feels good, but I can't wear it too many days in a row because it does have that SPF in it. But this is a beautiful one. I do really enjoy it. Bobbi Brown is just, they have such good products and I feel like they're not talked about as much as they should be, especially since Bobbi Brown actually sold the company. But this is a beautiful foundation. I do love it. I do enjoy it. I have the shade C004 Alabaster. The Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear Care and Glow Foundation. This is beautiful. Again, like I said, the rest of these are favorites. Most of the foundations in my collection are favorites. Some of these are newer and that's why they're not favorites and I just haven't gotten rid of them. But this is beautiful. I absolutely love this one. It is a perfect shade match for me. I do have shade 110C. I love Lancome Complexion products. They are beautiful. I have used them for years and years and years. I practically grew up on Lancome makeup. My mom is a long time user of Lancome. She is starting to branch out into other things, but I used the original Teint Idole for years, and then I used the which one was it? The Uplift. I can't remember. It was the one that had all the skincare in it and it was like 60 bucks. I loved that one, and then they got rid of it. They've gone through like reformulations, they've changed shades. It's been a journey, but I always go back to their products, and this is just such a beautiful one. I love the way that it looks on my skin. It is glowy. It is glowy, it is hydrating, so it is not for oily skin. You could probably get away with it if you were a combination, but this is one of my favorites. It's a tried and true, and it's one that I will always have in my collection. I would repurchase it time and time again. The MAC Studio Radiance Serum Powdered Foundation. Whew, I've been sitting here for too long. This is beautiful. This came out last year, I believe, like beginning or middle of last year, and this is beautiful. This is the first MAC complexion product I have ever tried. Like, I wanted to try MAC so bad when I was in high school, and my mom told me no. She took me to the Lancome counter. Plus, their shade range was not that great. Lancome was one of the few brands at that time, which this is like over 20 years ago, that actually had a shade range for people that were really, really fair. MAC did not, and that is true because I did go to a MAC counter for homecoming one year and the girl could not match my skin tone, so I ended up going somewhere else. But regardless, I went on a tangent. This is beautiful. I absolutely love this. This was in my favorites video recently, and for good reason. I love, love, love this foundation. It's beautiful on the skin. It sits well. The coverage is beautiful. It's more medium, but it is a serum, so it's lightweight. It meshes with the skin beautifully. It just kind of melts in and perfects the complexion while giving it a beautiful, not a glow, but just a skin-like finish. This one's beautiful. I love it. I have the shade NC10. The Glossier Stretch, what is it? The Stretch Fluid Foundation. I have very light 4. This is beautiful as well. I really, really love this. This was the first complexion product I ever tried from Glossier, just because it was the first one that actually piqued my interest. It sounded like it had a finish and a coverage that I would love, and I really, really do. I love this one. This is beautiful. This is another one of those that when I first got it, I wore this like every single day because I just loved the way that my skin looked when I wore it. It didn't look cakey. It didn't look heavy. It didn't look like I was wearing a ton of makeup, but it covers. It's not full coverage. It's like a high medium coverage, but it is beautiful. I really, really, really enjoy this one, and I'm glad that Glossier has finally come out with a foundation that's something more than just like tinted water. Okay, my last 3 are, they are luxury brands, and let's chat about these. So let's start with the Chantecaille, what is this called? The Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation. I have the shade Aura. This is beautiful. Like, this is a stunning, sophisticated formula. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, it is super light coverage. It's probably the most light coverage foundation that I have in my collection. It's between this and the Chanel, but I think this one's actually a lighter coverage. But there's something that this does to the skin that just makes it look perfect. It makes it look like you've never done any sun damage, you've never missed a drink of water, you've never abused your skin in any way, shape, or form. Like, the hype behind this is real, and it is a stunning formula. It's beautiful. It's worth every penny. It is on the pricier side, but it's not like one of those that's ridiculously expensive. I mean, I can justify anything, I really can, but I do have a limit, and this is beautiful. I really enjoy it. The hype is real. I love it, and it feels just so good on the skin, but this one's a favorite. Next, we have the Christian Louboutin, what is this called? Something foundation. I'm not even going to try and butcher that, but I have the shade Pastel Nude, which is, I believe, 10C. It's really hard to read that. This is beautiful. This is like a soft matte finish, so I can wear it. I can get away with it. It does look beautiful on my skin. It holds up. I was extremely impressed but disappointed at the same time, because I wanted to not like this. I wanted to be like, oh, this is awful, and take it back, but it's not. It's a beautiful, beautiful formula. I think it's going to work great for all skin types. I do really love this one. I do have to kind of go in with more of like a glowy base underneath it, but it's fine. This is a beautiful formula. I do really enjoy it. I think for me, is it worth it? I mean, I don't know if I would say that it's actually worth it. I don't know if I would repurchase it. I probably would not. It is beautiful. I do love it, but it's not an absolute, like, I don't think it's anything that I would miss. I think once I used it up, it would be like, okay, we had a good run. That was fun. It was beautiful, but I wouldn't repurchase it. It's not that good, but it is good. But the Prada Reveal Foundation, however, this is a stunning formula. This is, I think, probably hands down my #1 foundation in my collection at the moment. Like, this has surpassed every other foundation that I have. I just love the way my skin looks every single time. It just looks so perfected. It's lightweight. There's something about the way that this sits on the skin that it's what luxury beauty should do. And yes, it's pricier, but for me, this is worth every penny. This is like a $70 foundation, but it's $70 when you purchase it with the component. So it does, this comes out, this is plastic, this is glass, this comes out and you repurchase just this, and this is $50. So in my mind, this is a luxury foundation at a high-end price point. To me, anything over 60 is like, actually over like 50, 55 is a luxury price point. And the refill of this is $50. I love that it's like eco-friendly. I love that the packaging can be reused. You're not throwing this away. You can recycle the glass. I do really enjoy that. I love the shade range. This is a perfect shade match for me. It doesn't have the best shade range, I will give it that, which I think is kind of sad, but this is a fantastic formula. Like, I could sit here and go on and on and on about this all day. I do have a dedicated wear test up on my channel using this. I have used it several times since then. I love this. This is one that I will absolutely 100% repurchase when I run out. Okay, so these are all of the concealers that I have in my collection, with the exception of the ones that I am currently testing out at the moment. But I do usually kind of keep this, you know, curated down. I go through, get rid of anything that's gone bad or things that generally don't work for me usually, and this is what I have in my collection right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start over here, and then we will move our way this way. So I'm just going to put this here so things don't roll. But this is the Rare Beauty Under Eye Brightener. I have the shade Light, and I really enjoy this. I know this got a lot of hate from people, like you either loved it or you hated it, but I really enjoy it. I like this on days where I'm not really putting on a lot of makeup, if any makeup at all, but I just have a little bit of extra darkness under my eyes and I want to conceal that just a tiny bit, brighten it up. I actually really enjoy the applicator. I think it gives you plenty of product. Any more than that and it kind of starts to cake up and sit weird. So yeah, I really enjoy this. I like it. It is a really good under eye brightener. It's hydrating and it looks beautiful on the skin. This is the Il Makiage F I'm Flawless Multi-Use Perfecting Concealer, and this is a beautiful concealer. I have the shade 2.5 and I adore this concealer. It's one of my absolute favorites. This is either the second or third one that I have been through. I kind of like use it for a while and then flit off to something else and then come back to it. But this really does look flawless under the eyes. It's not too heavy, it's not too drying, it's not overly creamy, but it also doesn't set into fine lines or do anything weird either. I haven't noticed that it sets down on its own, so I do have to set it with a powder. Most of these I do. There's a couple that I don't, and I'll let you know which ones those are. But this is a beautiful concealer. I really do enjoy it. This one from Dior. This is the Backstage, what's it called? The Flash Perfector Concealer. I have the shade 0 in. I did get this for free in an influencer, and I want to like this because I've heard so many people talk about how much they do like it, and I honestly almost got rid of it, and for some reason I just can't bring myself to do it because I don't know why, but this is not, I don't really enjoy this concealer. Like, sometimes it looks good, but 90% of the time it doesn't. It settles weird. It doesn't like mesh well with my under eyes. It creases, it cakes. It's not very flattering, and I absolutely hate this brush applicator. I really don't know why I keep this. I think it's because it's Dior and I really want it to work. And I actually recently just saw a video where Tati was using this and she talked about how much she loved it, and it was about the time that I was kind of going through these, and I ended up keeping it for that reason. But even though, yeah, I hate this concealer, I should probably get rid of it. Probably at the end of the year I will. I don't enjoy it. I do want to try the other one, the Dior Forever Glow Concealer. Eventually I will pick that one up, but this one is awful. The Fenty Beauty We're Even Concealer. I have the shade 100C. This one is newer. I have already done a speed review with this. This is just, it's okay. It's not my favorite. It's almost a little too wet under the eyes. I don't know. There's just something about it where it looks fine, but I have other ones that do better, that look better, that wear better. It's just not a favorite of mine. It's not a horrible one. It's not one that I would get rid of. Like, I would use it, but I wouldn't use it on a day where I need my makeup to be on point. I need it to last. I need it to look its absolute best. It's a concealer that I would use if I'm just like filming maybe a short or something and I know I won't have it on long. That's probably what I would use this for, but this was kind of disappointing. Not my favorite, but you know, they can't all be winners. The Tula Radiant Skin Brightening Serum Concealer. This is a really, really nice concealer. This one I feel like did not get enough love and recognition. It's an absolutely beautiful concealer. It's very thin. It's very serum-like. It has a nice doe foot applicator. It's easy to pull out. I don't use this one a whole lot because it is a little too light, and I don't usually enjoy a bright under eye. I prefer one that's more just on par with my skin, maybe just a tiny bit lighter, but this is like really bright under my eyes. So I can use it. I do like it. If I do use it, I prefer it with a setting powder that has a little bit of color to it so it kind of evens out. But this is a beautiful formula. I really, really enjoy this one. the Lancome Teint Idole Ultra Wear All Over Concealer. This is another beautiful one. Like I said, there's not a lot in here that I don't enjoy. Actually, I think we've already passed the ones that are not favorites, but this is an absolutely beautiful concealer. I don't know what I was thinking when I picked this up because I got shade 1VOW and it's got a warm undertone to it, and I am not warm undertone, I think, or 095. There's your color on the back. But I think it was the only shade that they had. Like, they didn't have my shade and I really wanted to try it. I can get away with the color. It works better if I use like a lavender setting powder under my eyes, and I do have one. You'll see that one in just a little bit. So it works really well when I do that. I just, you know, I don't always reach for it, but this is an absolutely beautiful concealer. It is lightweight. It looks beautiful on the skin. It does work really well as a foundation as well. I don't usually use a concealer that way. I usually use a concealer as a concealer, and I'm also never in the market for a concealer that's going to cover like acne spots or anything like that on my face. I usually stick to under my eyes and call it a day, but this is a beautiful formula. I really enjoy this one. It looks great under my eyes, and I do not have to set this one with powder. It does set down on its own for me, and I don't experience any creasing or caking or settling in my lines. The e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer. This is in the shade Fair Beige, and this is nice. It's not a favorite. This is supposed to be like a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape, the creamy one, I believe. This one right here, it's supposed to be a dupe for this one, and the formulas are definitely very similar. It's just not, I don't know, there's something about this, like it does look good under my eyes, but it's one of those where if I'm having any kind of off day under my eyes, this just does not do well. Like, it wants perfection under my eyes, or it behaves a little bit funny. It can be a little heavy as well. I've noticed it doesn't always sit very well. So it is a nice one from the drugstore. It's just not a favorite one from the drugstore. This one is newer on the market, and one that I tried recently. I have reviewed this one as well, but this is the NYX Pro Fix Stick Correcting Concealer, and I have the shade number 2 Fair. This is beautiful. Like, I have not tried a stick concealer in years, and this one is just so creamy. It glides on beautifully. I don't have any issues with it under my eyes. It sets really nicely. It doesn't cake or crease. I do have to set it with a powder, but I'm okay with that. It just wears beautifully. I was really impressed because this was another one that was very hit or miss. A lot of people loved it, but a lot of people hated it. It was kind of 50-50 across the board, and I really enjoy this one. The Haus Labs, what is this? The Triclone Skin Tech, whatever she calls it. It's her concealer, and this is in the shade Fair Rosy. This is a newer one to me. I tried this recently, and I really, really, really love this concealer. I think it's absolutely beautiful. It is a little thick upon application, but once you kind of spread it out and it warms up to your skin, it just sits so beautifully under the eyes, and it wears well. It looks nice. It matches with my skin beautifully, and I really, really enjoy this one. It has quickly become one of my favorite concealers in my collection. I don't know if it's my absolute favorite concealer in my collection, but it's one that I would definitely repurchase if I ran out of it or if it went off. Okay, I'm going to talk about these two together. This is the Gucci concealer and the Natasha Denona, what is it, the High Glam concealer. So these two on their own are not my favorite. This one is just a little too, it's a little too dark, and this is the lightest one that she makes. This is in the shade N1, and the Gucci, it doesn't quite have enough coverage for me. Like, it sets well under the eyes, it looks beautiful. I don't have any issues caking, creasing, and that goes for the Natasha Denona as well. But like I said, this one doesn't give quite enough coverage on its own, and this one is just a tiny bit too dark for my under eyes. But if I put these two together, this is like my ultimate power couple concealer combo. I absolutely adore these together. These are my favorite, hands down, concealer combo. If I had to get rid of everything else in my concealer collection and just keep these, I would. I absolutely would. Now, if I could only keep one, it would have to be this one, just because I would take a shade match over coverage any day. Like, I can put powder over it, build up the coverage a little bit, whereas this, for me, it being too dark is hard to correct. Even with using a brightening powder, it can be too hard. But I love these. I really do. They mesh well together. They play well together. I love the formulas, and I highly recommend these. Do you need both of them? Absolutely not. You don't. But I mean, if you have both in your collection and you want to play around, mix them and see what you think. I like to put this one in like the inner corner, and then I like to put this towards the outer corner of my eye, and then just blend them together with a brush or a sponge. But I love both of these. The Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Eraser Multi-Use Concealer. This is in the shade 110. This is hands down my absolute favorite drugstore concealer to ever exist. I have been through a ton of these, and this one's actually fairly new, but I have been using this for years and years and years. It's one of my favorites. I always have one in my collection. Again, I like to rotate through my makeup, so you'll see me go through spurts of like using one thing for a long time, and then all of a sudden that'll go away and something else will come in. I like to make sure that I get use out of my makeup, and this is one that I always rotate back to, and just every time I use it, it reminds me of how good it is. It's affordable, it's beautiful. I'm not the biggest fan of this up here, but it does twist up and it's not too messy. You can take this off and use it that way. I've done it once before, but then I found it to be even messier. So I just leave the little poof on the top, but this is beautiful. If I had to recommend one concealer from the drugstore, this would be it. The NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum. I have the shade Fair. This is okay. That is against popular opinion. I know everybody loves this, and I find it to be okay. It can be a little heavy under my eyes. It's not the most hydrating. It's not always the most flattering. It's another one of those that my skin has to be like in check in order for me to use it. And I also don't enjoy this little pump because I like to just take out my applicator, dab it under my eyes, and move on. And this I have to put on the back of my hand or squirt it onto my sponge, or I don't know. It's not my favorite. It's a good concealer. I do like it. I have yet to use it as a foundation. I've heard a lot of people say it's beautiful as a foundation. I don't know if this would be a good shade match for me as a foundation either, because this is not a perfect shade for me, and it's the lightest one. So I don't know. I mean, it's okay. I wouldn't repurchase it if I ran out, but I'm also not going to declutter it. So it's just okay. The KVD Good Apple Serum Concealer. I have the shade Light 105. And this is another one of those absolutely beautiful concealers. I feel like this one just isn't talked about enough. It is super lightweight, but it is full coverage. Like if you want coverage under your eyes, this is going to give it to you. This is definitely the most full coverage concealer I have in my collection, next to this one. Both of these are full coverage. I don't think I said that about this one, but everything else that I have is generally either medium or light coverage. That's kind of my preferred sweet spot, but this will cover everything. It's absolutely beautiful. It's not heavy. It doesn't cake up. It doesn't do anything weird. My only qualm with it is for some reason the packaging kind of leaks a little bit and can get messy, but I just have to clean it up more often. But this is beautiful. I like to keep this one if I want a full coverage moment. I don't use it very often, but it's one that I would definitely repurchase if it were to go off or I were to use it all. the Tarte Shape Tape Ultra Creamy Concealer. This is the shade Fair Neutral, and I just have a little mini version because I wanted to try this one out, and I like it better than the original Shape Tape. The original Shape Tape was like my jam back when it was popular in, what was it, 2017, maybe 2016 into 18, I don't know. Whenever it first came out and it was super popular, I loved it, but then as I got older, I realized that it was not flattering under my eyes. I have very dry under eyes, I'm getting older, and it didn't work. So I decided to try it again, but I wanted to try the Ultra Creamy, and while this is better, it's still not a favorite. Like it is creamier and it looks better, but it's still heavy and it's still very full coverage, and not as full coverage as the KVD or the Lancome, but it is full coverage, and it's just, I don't know, it's not one that I ever want to reach for. I look at the little sample in here and I'm like, it's fine, it's okay. It's still relatively new. I've only had it for maybe a year, so I'll get some more use out of it, but it doesn't make me want to run out and buy the full size version. It doesn't make me want to try any more of the Tarte Creamy Shape Tape concealers. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's just okay. The Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer. This is nice. It's not a favorite. I know for a lot of people this is like a holy grail, an absolute favorite, and I do really like it. Don't get me wrong, I do like it. It is a beautiful concealer. It is lightweight, it is hydrating, it's flattering. I just don't find it as easy to work with as some of the other concealers in my collection. I find this one to be a little on the finicky side. If you put too much, it can look heavy. If you don't put enough, it kind of spots up and does weird. So you have to make sure you find that sweet spot, and once you do, it's beautiful. But yeah, it's not one that I would get rid of. It's not one that I would repurchase, but it is, you know, it's just okay. I wanted to love it more just because it was so hyped, and I just don't. I mean, it is what it is. Everybody's different, and I just don't like the way that this looks under my under eyes as much as I do like my Gucci, my Natasha Denona, the House Labs, ones like that. So it's okay. Then we have the Sigma Spectrum Color Correcting Duo for light to medium. This one, you can see I haven't used it very much. It's not a favorite. It's another one that was super hyped and so many people talked about and how much they love it. And first of all, this shade I could never use. It's going to be way too dark under my eyes. This one I can use, but it's just not as creamy as I want it to be. Maybe if I didn't have such dry under eyes, it would be better, but it's not a favorite. I prefer the Rare Beauty more. I also have another one that has like some correcting properties in it that I'm still testing out and so far love more. This is okay. It's not bad. I will definitely continue to use it, but it's not anything that I'm going to sit here and rant and rave over and talk about how amazing it is, because I just don't think that it is. But yeah, I wouldn't declutter it, but at the same time, I wouldn't repurchase it either. All right, let's talk setting powders. So I may have a small addiction to setting powders. I didn't realize I had one until I went to pull all these out, and I have quite a few. So let's go ahead and start. Let's start back here with my pressed powders. So we're gonna start over here with the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. This is a favorite of mine. As you can tell, I've hit pan in the middle. This is the second one that I have ever had, and I just love this. I like to take my brush, swirl it in all of them, and use it as a finishing powder. It just leaves such a beautiful, like, ethereal glow on my skin and just makes it look extra healthy and hydrated, especially whenever my skin's a little bit on the drier side, even when it's on the oilier side. Like, either way, this is absolutely beautiful. I love this. It's one that I will absolutely continue to repurchase. I am almost done with this middle one, and you can see like the dent between the three of them, but This is beautiful. I love it. And I don't know if I would ever purchase an individual. I think I would always buy just the little palette. Okay, the Lawless Perfecting Powder. This is in the shade Fair. This was a new release last year from the brand, and I really enjoy this powder. This one has some coverage to it though, so it's not really a translucent powder. I do really like this under my eyes. I like to set my whole face with it, but I have to make sure that when I set my face, I go in with a very light hand and like a fluffy brush. I can't go in with a velour puff because it can alter my foundation and make it slightly too dark if I go in that way. But I do really enjoy it. It is a beautiful powder. It's very finely milled. It looks beautiful on the skin and I enjoy it. I don't know if it's one that I would necessarily repurchase when I use it up. Maybe. I don't know. It's one of those that I would have to see how I felt without it in my collection. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, I don't really like that much, and then you use it up and it's gone and then you miss it. It could be one of those, but as we stand right here today, it's a good powder. It's not an absolute favorite. I will continue to use it. I just don't know if I would necessarily repurchase it. The One Size Turn Up the Base, what is this, foundation powder. I have the shade Fair 3 in, and this is a beautiful powder. This is the second one that I have bought. The first one I used up completely, and then I repurchased it, and I haven't gone through it quite as quickly, but the one size is worn off. I really enjoy this as an actual like powder foundation. I'm not a huge powder foundation fan, but in the summer there's days where it's just so flippin' hot here that the thought of putting like liquid foundation and all that on my face is just, it's too much to bear. So I'll just go in with this, and this is beautiful. It gives just a really nice airbrushed medium coverage. It's also really nice as a setting powder as well. I don't like to use this under my eyes because it is a little heavy, but everywhere else it's beautiful and I really enjoy this one. The Dior Powder No Powder. I bought this because again, everybody was ranting and raving about it, and for good reason. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous powder. It has a little bit of a sheen to it, so once again, it just leaves a beautiful glow on the skin. I need to bust her out and use her more. From what I understand, they're discontinuing this powder, but I still see it on their website, so I don't know if they just have certain colors left or if they've already reformulated it and brought it back. I don't know, but I really enjoy this. It would be a shame if they were to get rid of it because it's beautiful. It does have some coverage, but not so much that I can't use it under my eyes. It does look beautiful all over the face. I can use it with a velour puff. I can use it with a brush. Either way, it works for my skin, and this is gorgeous. Let's get this one out of the way. This is a little MAC sample. This is the Studio Fix Plus Powder Foundation. This is in the shade NC20, and y'all, this is funny because I have this and I have a reason for it. So I do use this. I like to bust this out if I'm doing an eyeshadow look and it doesn't have like a lighter shade in it and I just need to kind of soften the edges. That's what I have this for. I mean, I've never thought of using this any other way. It's obviously a tiny little pan. It looks like an eyeshadow. I know it's a powder foundation. I've never tried it as a powder foundation, but it sits in with my powders because that's just where I store it. I should probably use it or move it to my eyeshadow drawer, but yeah, I enjoy it for that. I can't speak to how it works as an actual powder, but if you're looking for a powder to kind of blend the edges of your eyeshadow, this is a good one. The Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Powder. This is gorgeous. I have been through a mini. The very first one I ever got was a mini, and I completely used it up and loved it so much that I bought the full size, and this is stunning. I like to use this under my eyes more than anything. I know that's a little much for an under eye powder, but it smooths and blurs and just gives such a perfected look to the under eyes that I adore it. It's one that I would continue to repurchase over and over and over. I do like it on the rest of my skin, and I do use it on the rest of my skin sometimes, like if I'm just feeling, let's be honest, lazy and don't feel like reaching for another one, but generally I reserve this for setting my under eyes. Oh, and I have the shade Fair One. Huda Beauty Easy Bake and Snatch Powder. I have the shade Cherry Blossom, and y'all, this got a lot of backlash. Like, I feel like so many people just ripped this powder a new one because it is not the same formula as this one. I really love this. I love it. It has a sheen to it, but as somebody with like normal dry leaning skin, this looks beautiful. It really, really does. I love this under my eyes because it has that sheen. It just kind of smooths everything out and makes it look blurred and soft and beautiful. A lot like the Charlotte Tilbury does, but with more of a sheen. And it's a pink pressed powder. I love a pink powder, and it's really hard to find a pressed version of one, but I enjoy this. I really do like it. I would 100% repurchase it. I don't know if I would want to get a different shade and use it like all over my face. I just really enjoy this mostly under my eyes more than anything. The Glowish by Huda Beauty. This is in the shade Luminous or Porcelain. This is the Luminous Pressed Powder. I got this in February's BoxyCharm, and this is a nice powder. It's not a bad powder. It looks good under the eyes. It does have a sheen to it. It's not my favorite. I have a feeling that this is probably going to go because I think she's discontinuing a lot of the Glowish line, but it's not a bad powder. It really isn't. It does hard pan, which is one of my qualms with it. Like right after the first time I used it, it got a little hard pan, but I mean, it's an okay powder. Like, I don't really have anything bad to say, but I don't really have anything great to say about it either. It's just kind of, it's meh. Like, I'll use it, but I wouldn't repurchase it. I wouldn't be sad if she got rid of it or anything like that. I wouldn't miss it if it was gone, but I'll use her while I have her. The Xoxo Cloud Set Powder. I have the shade Breezy, and this is a beautiful powder. I love it, as you can tell. This one is actually a little too dark for me. I ordered this online when it first launched. I ordered it from the Xoxo website, and their pictures on there are a little funky, and I had a hard time deciding. I went with this one. I should have gotten the lighter one. I can absolutely use this one. I mean, as you can tell, I have used it. Like, the dome is just about gone. I just have to go in with like a fluffy brush, or I can use it really well over a foundation that's too light for me. But this is a stunning powder. It is one that I want to purchase the correct shade when I use it up. I really love the way that it makes my skin look, the way it makes my skin feel. It just kind of blurs and sets everything, holds it in place. This is a beautiful powder, and it's hyped for a reason. Let's talk about the Melt Glazed Skin Sheer Finishing Powder. I have the shade Fair, and this is hard panned, so that really irritates me because this is a beautiful powder. It really is. It's another one that so many people hated, but I think the people that hated it have more like oily skin, combination skin, and it adds quite a shine to the skin. It's not like a highlighter shine, but it does add quite a bit of shine. It adds more than the Hourglass powders do, but I like it. I really do. I like going over and fluffing over my entire face when I'm done, just to give me a little bit of that luminosity back, especially if I go in with a mattifying powder, because most powders are mattifying these days. That's just kind of how everything works. But this is a beautiful one. I don't think I would repurchase it just because, like, it's hard panned, and it did that after just a couple of uses. I have never put my fingers in here. I've never done anything like that. I've always used a brush, so that's disappointing, but I really enjoyed this one. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but for me it works and it's beautiful. The MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural Powder. I have the shade Light. And this is another one that I absolutely love. I love using this as a setting powder. I don't use it under my eyes because it does have a sheen to it, like quite a heavy sheen, but it looks beautiful on my skin. I like to use this one if I have more of like a natural matte finish foundation that I want to set. This is beautiful. I do really enjoy it. It does have that sheen to it. It is super lightweight. It's a baked formula and it's just beautiful on the skin. I don't know if it's a favorite, like it's not one that I would reach for over my Hourglass or even like my Dior Powder No Powder, and I don't think it's one that I would repurchase, but it's one that I do enjoy while I have it. Let's get into loose powders. So I'm going to start back here. These are the Guerlain Meteorites. This is in the shade Too Clair, and this is the one that came out at the holidays. This is the second one that I've ever had, and this is what these look like. So if you've never seen them before, it's the little balls. You swirl your brush in here, you put it on your face, and it just gives you an absolutely beautiful ethereal glow. I almost like these more than I like the Hourglass ambient lighting powders. I just feel like this is a little softer, a little more lightweight, a little more light diffusing. These do have a heavy fragrance to them, and for me, I love the heavy fragrance, but I know a lot of people don't like fragrance. This takes me back to like when I was a kid and going in my grandmother's room and playing around with her stuff. It reminds me of what she smelled like. I doubt this is what she used, but that's just what it reminds me of. And the tin is beautiful. It's very luxe. I absolutely love these. I want to get some of the newer ones that they've launched because they have other colors. They have ones that don't have like the green, pink, purple, and yellow in it. It's just a lot of like the white pearls, and I really want to try that out. But this is a beautiful, stunning powder if you're curious about it. I've never used it to set my face. I've only used it as a finishing powder. The Givenchy Prism Libre powder. This is beautiful. I got a little sample one, and this is a stunning powder. I love this all over, under my eyes, everywhere. It's got the 4 different colors in it. I would like to try the one that is lighter, but I don't think they had that one in the tiny ones, but eventually I'll purchase a full-size one of that. But this is a stunning powder. This is hyped for a reason. It is talked about for a reason. It is well worth every single penny in my opinion. Yeah, this is beautiful. I love it, love it, love it. I have 2 of the Dominique Cosmetics setting powders. So I have Translucent and then I have Rosita, and I got these whenever she launched Rosita, and these are nice. They are nice setting powders. I don't really have any issues with them. This is very, very pink, but it does look beautiful under the eyes. I would never go in and set my entire face with it, but it does look beautiful under the eyes. And then the regular setting powder, this is beautiful as well. My only issue is that you don't get a whole lot of product in here, so you go through it kind of quickly. Like, it's not a super expensive powder, but when you compare it to how much you get in other ones, it's a little on the pricey side. And it's a beautiful setting powder. It just doesn't have anything that puts it over the top and makes me want to repurchase it. I will enjoy them while I have them, but they're not anything that I would repurchase when I run out. Okay, we're down to the end, and this is a lot of favorites. So let's start with the Laura Mercier, this jumbo bad boy right here. I bought this one when I ran out of my regular size, and that was holiday, I want to say 2022. It could have been 21, but I think it was 22. Anyways, it's an OG setting powder, and this is the jumbo version of it. It's one of those, if I can get the lid off, like, it's one of those setting powders that it's just a good workhorse setting powder. It's good, old, reliable. I know it's going to work for me every single time. I will use this and use this and use this and then flit over to something else and then come back to it. And when I come back to it, I'm reminded of how good it is. It's one of those that I will always have in my collection, that I can count on this one. And I really do enjoy it. It's been around forever. It's been hyped forever. It's been, you know, it's got awards, all the things, and it's a beautiful powder. And did I need the jumbo? Probably not, but I also feel like powders don't go bad. I think I've said that before, but anyways, it is what it is. I have her. I love her. She's here to stay. She will never go anywhere. The Sigma Beauty Soft Focus Setting Powder. I have the shade Vanilla Bean. This is a beautiful powder. This is not, it's not like matte, but it's not like a shimmery, sheeny finish. It's just a beautiful setting powder. I don't like this under my eyes. It does have a little bit of color to it, and this is the lightest shade that they have. So again, I have to go in with a very soft hand and go in with a brush. I can't go in with a puff because it will alter the shade of my foundation. But it is a beautiful setting powder. I do enjoy it. It is one that I definitely would repurchase, but I would repurchase it if they came out with either a true translucent or a lighter version of it, because like I said, this is just a tiny bit too dark and a tiny bit too yellow for me. The Huda Beauty Easy Bake Setting Powder, this is a cult favorite. Everybody rants and raves about this powder, and it's a beautiful setting powder. I absolutely adore this setting powder. It is heavily fragranced. I like the fragrance. I have the shade Pound Cake, and it's beautiful. I really, really love it. I hate the sifter that's in here, but this is beautiful. This is one of the few mattifying powders that I can get away with. It just melts into the skin. There's something about it that it's almost like it goes with the flow. Whether your skin is oily, it's dry. I don't know about dry, maybe not dry, but it just kind of, it adapts to whatever skin type you have. It's beautiful. It's got a little bit of coverage. You can either lay it on thick and bake with it, or you can go in with a light dusting and just set your face. But this is a beautiful powder. It's one that I will always have in my collection. I would definitely repurchase. I really want to get the shade Sugar Cookie, but every time I go in to get it, it's sold out. So it is what it is. Pound Cake works for me. I like this powder, and I will always have one. The Maybelline Fit Me Loose Finishing Powder. I was very late to the game on this. I tried this one recently, like 2 months ago, I guess. I have done a speed review on it. This is a beautiful powder. I understand why this one is hyped as well. Like, it's just stunning. It doesn't alter my foundation color. It doesn't make me feel dry or cakey. It also controls everything. It locks it in place all day. It makes the skin look absolutely beautiful. Like, this is a stunning powder, and my favorite from the drugstore, honestly. Like, I have another one right here from the drugstore, but I really enjoy this one. I think it's beautiful. It's really hard to find a good powder from the drugstore. I don't know what it is, but this one's done right. And then there were 5. So let's talk about the Fenty Beauty Powder. This one I've had for a while. This is the Pro Filter Powder, and this is in the shade Lavender. So this is the powder that I was talking about that I like to go in with if I have a concealer or a foundation that is pulling too yellow on me, because purple cancels out yellow and neutralizes it. And this has just a soft fluff of lavender to it. It looks beautiful under the eyes. It does have a fragrance to it. It smells very sweet. It almost smells like the Huda Beauty, but maybe not quite as strong, but it's beautiful. This is one of those I feel like is not talked about enough. It's just a beautiful, finely milled powder. It looks beautiful on the skin, fantastic under the under eyes. I don't use it as much because of the shade, but there's not another shade in this powder that works for me. So it is what it is. I wish there was another one, but this is a beautiful powder. If you have been on the fence about it, if you've looked at it, if you've wondered, this one's beautiful. Okay, the Hourglass Translucent Setting Powder. This is the, what's it called? The Veil. This is probably my holy grail powder. I adore this powder. I love this powder. This is the second one that I've ever had. I've also had a mini. The first one I ever bought was a mini. And for me, this is 100% absolutely well worth it. It works on my skin no matter what condition it's in. If I've got a little bit of dryness, it works. If my skin's oily, it works. If it's dehydrated, it works. If I've got a little bit of like flakiness from some of the actives in my skincare, this kind of masks that and doesn't accentuate it. I love this powder. It's gorgeous. I think they now have like other shades in it, which I think is genius, but this is one that I will always have. I will 100% repurchase time and time again. It's worth every penny and I love it. I mean, if Hourglass does anything right, it's definitely their powders. Okay, let's talk about these three. We're saving this one for last. So let's go over to the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. I bought this one recently for my e.l.f. video, and this is a beautiful powder. I really, really do enjoy it. I think it's beautiful from the drugstore. I don't feel like it's as universal as the Maybelline, but this one works really well for like normal to dry skin. It has a little bit of a sheen to it. It just really makes everything soft, focused. It adds a nice little glow, hence the name Halo Glow. And I mean, you can't beat the price point for it. So it's not a favorite by any means, but it is a beautiful formula. I do really enjoy it. I will continue to use it, but it's not one that I would repurchase if I ran out. I don't think. I could really miss it when it runs out. I don't know, but as of where we stand right now, I'm enjoying it, but it's not a favorite. The Lunar Beauty Lunar Versal Setting Powder. This is one that I picked up as an add-on in my Ipsy BoxyCharm last month in February, and I wish I had purchased this when it came out, but I was really hesitant because it seemed like it was marketed for oily skin, and it really is. And so many people with oily skin went on and on and on about how much they love it, how beautiful it sits on their skin, it controls the oil, and it just makes their makeup last all day. So I thought, oh, that's gonna be way too heavy for me. It's gonna be too much. But I bought it as an add-on because it was like ridiculously cheap, and I was like, well, we'll try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But let me tell you what, this powder, I had to put it away because I was using it every single time I did my makeup, and I was like, girl, you need to cycle through some of your other stuff. So I finally put this one away, pulled out some others, but this is gorgeous. It is so finely milled. It is extremely powdery. Like, let's see if you can see it when I open it. Yeah, you see that powder fly out of there, but it's just gorgeous. It looks beautiful under the eyes, beautiful on the skin. I can do it with a brush. I can do it with a velour puff. It doesn't matter. It just blurs the skin, holds it in place, and looks beautiful all day long. It doesn't make my skin look dry or cakey. It doesn't add a sheen either. It's just a beautiful setting powder. That's really all it is. It is just an absolutely beautiful setting powder. And I saved these two for last because this one actually reminds me of this one, the La Mer. And y'all, this is what, like a $30 powder, maybe cheaper than that, maybe like somewhere between $20 and $30. This is $120 powder. Don't come for me. Do not come for me because I regret nothing. I regret absolutely nothing. I bought this during a Sephora sale because I wanted to know. I needed to know. I was curious. People talk about La Mer like it is the end all be all. It is the like queen of cosmetics, and I had to know. And I went with the powder because, like I said, I feel like powders don't expire. So I didn't feel like I needed to rush through it, but using it might actually help. I have used it and I do really love it. It is beautiful. It is so extremely finely milled. It just, I don't know what is in this. I really don't, but I don't have words for how this makes my skin look. It makes it look perfect, like doll-like, porcelain perfect skin, and it doesn't matter what foundation I put this over, it fixes everything, which is what you would expect it to do for the price tag. But this is gorgeous. It's weighty, it's hefty. This is glass. Like, this is not plastic. This is glass, and it's a gorgeous powder. It really is. I cannot deny that. Is it worth $120? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Would I repurchase it? Yeah. Because I'm ridiculous, and I'm ridiculous, and you know, it is what it is. That's really all I can say. I am ridiculous, which is why I would repurchase it. Do I think you need to go get it? No. If you're curious about it, do I think you would be disappointed? No. But I really don't think that you need to go spend $120 on a powder unless you want to, unless you're curious, unless you want to just see what it's like on your face. I think it's gorgeous. This is one of my absolute favorites, and it's one of those that I love it so much that I don't use it because I'm afraid that it's going to run out and then I have to repurchase it, and I don't want to repurchase it, but I need to use her. I need to bust her out. But this is an absolute stunning powder. So like I said, if you've been curious about it, if you've wondered about it, if you've wondered if it's worth it, in my opinion, with my skin type, to me, it is worth the hype. I just don't think it's worth $120. But I also have no regrets. So yeah, it is what it is. I'm going to keep on living. I'm not losing any sleep over it. I love it. I will continue to love it. And I will continue to use it and cherish it. Okay, so last but not least for this little category, we have setting sprays. So I'm going to leave them in here because most of them, with the exception of this one, are round and they're just going to roll around everywhere. So I'm going to go ahead and start right here, and then we will just move through this bin. So this is the LYS Natural Finish Skin Loyalty, what is it? Blur, Mattify, and Set Makeup Setting Spray. This is beautiful. This was released last year by the brand, and I really enjoy this. It's one of my favorites. It says mattifying, but it doesn't really mattify much. It just leaves like a nice, like it says, natural finish to the skin. It holds everything in place. I don't have any issues with the makeup moving. It's got a nice mister on it. It doesn't leave any droplets. It doesn't mess up my makeup when I spray it on. It doesn't have any fragrance. It's just a beautiful setting spray. I love this one. I would definitely 100% recommend it and repurchase it. The MAC Fix Plus, I use this every time I do an inner corner shade for my lid. Sometimes I will use this if I put a bunch of creams on and put powder on over it and I just need to mesh everything together. I don't use this to set my face because I don't feel like it really does anything as far as setting the face, and this isn't meant to be a setting spray. Like, they do have one, like a version of this that's a setting spray. I haven't tried it. I would really like to, but this is just, it's one that I always have. I've used it since I was a teenager. I've used it, I used to dance when I was in, actually like forever, but when I was in high school, I did drill team, and the makeup that we wore was heavy, and I always had one of these just because it was hydrating on the skin. It feels really good. It does mesh everything together, but it's not going to give you any staying powder. It works really well for shimmer shades as well. It's a staple in my collection. I'll always have it. The Kate Somerville Makeup Setting Spray SPF 50. This one is another one that I will always have. It is a staple in my collection during the summer because it gets very hot here, and I am, as you can tell, very, very fair skinned. I burn like nobody's business. I don't tan. Like, I burn, I get really, really red, it peels off, and I go back to pale. Like, it is what it is. It's the Irish and the Italian that's in me, and I do not tan. My kids tan, lucky them. I do not. So I love this for in the summer because it adds on that extra bit of SPF whenever we're outside. I use this also as just a regular sunscreen. Like, if we're going to the river, if we're going to the pool, the water park, whatever it is, if we're going to be outside, even if I'm not wearing makeup, I spray this all over my face because it doesn't irritate my face. It doesn't feel like a like a sunscreen. It works and I like it, and I will always have one in my collection. This is the e.l.f. Stay All Night Micro Fine Setting Mist. I actually got this for free when I placed my big order on the e.l.f. website, and this is nice. It is a really nice setting spray. I don't know if it really adds to the longevity of my makeup, but it does hold it in place for most of the day. It doesn't break down my makeup. It does have a really nice fine mister. It doesn't move anything around. It doesn't leave the little water droplets. So I like it. I'll use it. I wouldn't repurchase it, but I also won't declutter it either. The Hourglass Veil Soft Focus Setting Spray. This is a beautiful setting spray. It has like an aerosol spray to it. It is a very, very fine mist. And when I say very fine mist, like you feel like nothing's going on your skin because it is so fine. So you sit and you spray and you spray and you spray, and then you look up and realize, oh, there's a little bit of like a wet sheen to my skin. It is a beautiful setting spray. I don't think it's worth the price point. This is like 50 bucks and I just don't think it's worth it. I think there's other ones that are less expensive and work better. Even though it's beautiful, it's one that I wouldn't repurchase, but I am like determined to finish this. It's almost empty. It has to be really close to being done, but yeah, just not worth the money. Speaking of not worth the money, the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Setting Spray. Yes, this is a nice setting spray. It's a beautiful setting spray. It does what it says it's going to do. But when I tell you that the Milani setting spray is a dupe, just like everybody has been saying it is, it is. And I've been through one of those completely. I'm waiting to use this up before I repurchase it because they're the same thing. And I would never repurchase this again. It's a beautiful setting spray, but you can get the same thing with Milani, and that's like 10 bucks, and you get the same amount of product, if not more. It does the same thing, and this is like at least twice, no, it's more than that actually. It's probably 3 times the price of that one. So it's nice, but it's not worth the money, not whenever you can get the same thing at the drugstore for cheaper. This is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hydrating Hyaluronic Acid Setting Mist. This is nice. It's not a favorite. It is definitely very hydrating, so I do not recommend this if you have oily skin or combination skin. This is definitely for the more normal to dry girlies because it does add glow. It adds hydration. I don't feel like this it increases the longevity of my makeup by any means, but if I'm feeling just a little dry and after I've gotten everything on and my makeup just looks a little dehydrated or not cakey, but it just looks heavy and it just looks dehydrated, I like to use this for that. It smells like coconuts, so if you don't like fragrance products, you're not going to like this, but again, it's not a favorite. It's not bad. It's just not one that I would repurchase because it doesn't really, other than rehydrating my skin, it doesn't really do anything for it. The NYX The Marshmallow Setting Spray, this is amazing. I wish this came in a bigger bottle because I bought this in February. I think I actually used this in my very first YouTube video and reviewed it. And first of all, this actually smells like marshmallows. It smells like candied marshmallows. So again, the fragrance thing, if you don't like it, you're not going to like this. But the mister is very fine. This increases the longevity of my makeup. It helps it to last all day. It smells really good. It doesn't alter anything, move anything. And I use this so much, I'm like halfway through it. So I had to put her away, pull out some other ones, get through those. I also have a couple that I'm testing. But this is definitely one that I would 100% repurchase. I wish they would come out with like a jumbo size of this because I would be all over that. And last but not least, we have the One Size On Till Dawn Setting Spray. This is the one that I was talking about, that if you use this with the Secure the Sweat Primer, your makeup will go absolutely nowhere. I wore the combo of these two for the Taylor Swift concert, and it was in April. It was hot. We stood outside for like 45 minutes in the blistering heat. We were sweating, and when we got inside, it was hot. There was people. I was dancing, singing, screaming, yelling, and my makeup still looked absolutely flawless at the end of the night. It was not melting off, it was not streaking, it wasn't doing anything. It looked like I just applied it. So this one goes on like a hairspray. It kind of feels like a hairspray. It definitely leaves like a sticky feeling whenever you first spray it. But if you close your eyes, hold your breath, spray it, count to like 15, and then move your face around and kind of unstick it, this is amazing. Like, when I tell you your makeup's going nowhere, it's going absolutely nowhere. This is another holy grail in my collection. All right, so that is going to complete all of the Complexion products in my collection. This is a little bit of a bigger category, but it is what it is. I didn't know any other way to split it up. I hope you enjoyed it. Up next will probably be like miscellaneous eye products, and then we have lips. So 2 more categories to go, and we will be done with my makeup collection. But let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section. Is there anything that you didn't see in my collection that you want me to try or that you recommend? Any products that you really like? Let me know everything down below. Light up that comment section. And as always, I want to thank you for watching my video and spending your time with me. It means so, so much to me. And if you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to click that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every week, most days, if not every single day, and I wouldn't want you to miss one. But until my next video, have a good one. Bye.